Survival games are spread across all consoles, many of them available practically everywhere. Whether you play via Steam or from the comfort of your couch, there's something for everyone. But if you're a PC gamer looking for good survival games, you've come to the right place. Survival games can be quite difficult for beginners, and they are where you will find a challenge to match. So check out the best survival games for PC now. In Brendy's State of Decay 2 review, he reckons it's an ever-expanding to-do list, which is absolutely what it is. But hey, if you're fine with that, then the game can be a strong survival M-up with your mates as you fend off flesh chompers left, right, and center. Hayden reckons its use of permadeath makes it not only the story of survival but community too, with monotonous tasks often leading to encounters which can lead to the most memorable of encounters. This free-to-play battle royale started out as Cuisine Royale, a PUBG spoof, but when players kept coming back, it became apparent that Darkflow Software had found something that's largely absent across the battle royale games genre: lighthearted fun. Crsed, FOAD is still all about surviving to the end and outlasting dozens of opponents, but instead of armor you'll be scrabbling around for colanders and baking trays to protect your fleshy parts from incoming bullets. Recent updates have embraced the silliness, adding new champions, a new map, flamethrowers, mortars, and motorboats, as well as rebalancing the melee combat. You can now also shoot from vehicles, as well as unlock and improve your champions with secret missions or daily challenges. The long, dark, vast, snow-blanketed wilderness is a harsh and uncompromising place. Its episodic story mode, Wintermute, serves as a gentle introduction to its harsh, yet beautiful world, but it's the game's survival mode that's the true, open-ended test of your mettle, dropping you into a freezing world and then leaving you to find your own way. You've got to find shelter, and then venture out to find supplies, all while trying to keep your calorie intake up and your body warm. Getting ready to leave the shelter feels like planning a wilderness expedition. You have to worry about your basic human needs and very little else, but that's actually a pretty big job. You've got to work out your diet, how far you can travel on a full stomach, exactly how much time you'll have before it gets dark and the temperature plummets, and then there are the contingency plans for things like blizzards. You're not popping out for a quick drink. There are lots of fascinating interpretations of the survival genre in this list, but the long dark sticks to the fundamentals and works magic with them. Instead of filling journeys from A to B with enemies, competing players, and more junk than you could possibly know what to do with, the long dark fills them with atmosphere. Hikes are fraught with tension, as you keep an ear out for wolf howls and pray that the wind doesn't pick up. There's still occasionally time to play the part of tourist, however. The map is a starkly beautiful slice of Canadian wilderness, so who could be blamed for taking a break from scavenging to snap a few shots? Yes, it was a long road out of early access. DayZ technically still isn't done, but the survival elements of DayZ are strong, with complex nutrition, hydration, and health systems that go beyond merely eating, drinking, and bandaging wounds. Scavenge a sprawling and decaying persistent open world, engage in tense interactions with other players, customize weapons and craft gear, and try not to die. If you do, you start again with nothing. A lot of survival games threw zombies or other paranormal creatures your way. In Green Hell, the enemy is the jungle around you. Real-world problems can affect you in Green Hell, ranging from disease to your own mental health, sanity. Rather than feeling like a video game jungle, Green Hell feels like real life. This includes the addition of body inspection, which allows you to essentially diagnose where your pain is coming from. This differs from many other games where you consume some sort of healing item and instantly, or gradually, get better. V Rising is an early access survival game with a hint of MMORPG and made by the Battlerite devs. If you thought that was a real combo of genres, then get this, you play as a vampire. Neat, right? It follows a similar structure to Valheim, in that you've got to gather resources, power up, and take on a multitude of bosses. However, it's very much got its own bloody flavor. Being top-down, you've got this MOBA-style combat, combined with servers that support up to 40 players. And if you opt for a PvP server, you can engage in raids on enemy fortresses. But if you'd rather experience the game on your lonesome or with a handful of mates in PvE, you can. The leveling journey is well-paced too, making the transition from Vampire Chump to Vampire Champ a consistently rewarding ride. If you need it any more convincing, check out our V Rising review for more in-depth thoughts. Sons of the Forest is the follow-up to End Night Games' sleeper survival hit The Forest, and both could be included in this list of the best survival games available. We've stuck just to the sequel though, which you can get on with just as easily having played or not played the first game, as you survive against the harsh climate and terrain of the Sons of the Forest map, as well as the terrifying Sons of the Forest mutants and cannibals around every turn. As we discuss in our Sons of the Forest review, the sequel stays faithful to the original, with old tools, like the modern axe, being joined by new weapons, including a powerful Sons of the Forest shotgun. Don't think this makes surviving any easier though, as you'll be short on ammo, and those enemies are considerably tougher this time around. It costs you nothing to play Unturned, but this isn't some slap-together free-to-play title. Its creator, a teenager, has released scores of updates to the zombie-based survival sandbox since 2014, which makes it easy to see why it's been downloaded by millions of players since its initial release. Despite Unturned's blocky visuals, it contains deep and satisfying crafting, skill, and survival systems, plus there's a massive and exuberant community surrounding it. The ever-popular survival scenario that we regularly see across popular culture is the post-apocalyptic world full of zombies. This is what 7 Days to Die delivers, in a package that mechanically feels incredibly similar to Rust. If you like your survival experience to be gory, but not overwhelmingly scary, 7 Days to Die strikes a delicate balance between the two. It knows that it's a survival game at its core, so while hordes of zombies destroy the motel you turned into a home, you're not going to be in for too many jump scares. I say too many, because zombies appeared at windows and openings that I never knew existed, which led to a bit of a fright while crafting. 7 Days to Die, if you can ignore the poor graphics, is the perfect interactive zombie movie. You are the main character in this apocalypse, and you can recruit friends to help out too. As you all scramble to survive, it almost plays out like Zombieland, and honestly, Zombieland's rules are actually pretty helpful for surviving 7 Days to Die. Depicting war not from the perspective of an elite soldier but from that of a group of civilians simply trying to stay alive amidst the chaos, this War of Mine is a different and more desperate kind of survival game. You'll face tough choices as you manage your survivors' health, both physical and mental. Scrounging for food and supplies during the night is tense and harrowing, and no matter what you find, it never seems to be enough. It's not just a survival game but a harsh and unblinking look at the reality of war. Like many of the survival games in this list, Scum is starting out life in Steam Early Access, which means two things: it's still quite chunky, and there are heaps of features yet to be added to the game. But even early into its life, there's plenty to enjoy about this detailed survival game set on a maximum security prison island. What makes it stand out among its peers is an incredibly fastidious metabolism system which makes Scum a sort of simulation game that fully tracks what you eat, drink, and excrete. Eat many more calories than you're burning off and you'll get fatter. Eat less than what you're burning off and you'll have no energy and gradually lose weight. But it's a lot more complicated than that. You'll have to watch your vitamin levels, stomach, intestine, bladder, and colon volume, and ensure that you eat well in advance of needing energy, as it takes time for your body to process anything you put into it. Scum puts the hunger and thirst mechanics of other survival games to shame. There are rewards for taking care of your body, too, as the fitter characters deal more melee damage, run faster, and possess better weapon handling than their emaciated or overweight counterparts. The result is a survival game where surviving is more important than amassing an arsenal of military-grade gear. Although once you've figured out how to take care of your body, you still have endgame goals such as exploring high-security areas, improving your supply of guns, and dabbling with PvP. If you need help with any of that, check out our top Scum tips, and if that's not quite enough help, there are some very useful Scum admin commands for you, too. Playing Astroneer makes us incredibly happy. Survival should be hard, but Astroneer is built on a wild new idea. What if it actually wasn't hard at all? Madness! The only thing you need to worry about is oxygen, but as long as you're hooked up to a base or a vehicle, you'll never run out, and you can keep topping up your own supply. With that taken care of, you can start expanding quickly, going on long expeditions into gorgeous alien frontiers. Rather than a rugged survivalist, you're a scientist, studying new worlds and developing research outposts. By jumping straight into advanced technology, you get to play around with rockets and construct factories while, in another survival game, you'd still be putting together your first log cabin. Before long, you'll be flitting off to new worlds and moons, searching for more resources and scientific curiosities. Even without the struggle, Astroneer has plenty of momentum. It's a lovely co-op game, too. And that extra pair of hands means you can bring more back with you from expeditions and start embarking on more ambitious research and construction projects earlier. Since it's entirely cooperative, it's not the type of survival game that will test friendships or devolve into arguments over who was meant to bring the spare battery. Obsidian shrunk you down and dropped you in a normal backyard, but due to your size it might as well be a jungle. Surrounded by killer spiders, hungry birds, and annoying ants, you can build a base by chopping down blades of grass and forage for food and drink by roasting aphids and collecting drops of dew. It's a beautiful and somewhat wondrous environment from the perspective of someone the size of a bug. The most horrifying idea of actual survival is having to do it on your lonesome. That's exactly what Don't Starve makes you do, as it's an entirely solo experience. The terror of having to fend for yourself in the wild is thankfully offset by the lovely Tim Burton-style 2D art and the collection of utterly bizarre creatures that are lurking in this sepia-tone world. War pigs, beargers, deerclopses, and many more absurd monsters roam the land looking to make things difficult for you. Don't Starve focuses heavily on crafting to make your way through life, and so much of your time is spent harvesting raw materials, just like other crafting games. But rather than crafting houses like in Rust and Minecraft, this indie game is all about the tools and contraptions you can make. The science machine and alchemy engine will become your best friends, before making way for ancient wonders in the art of magic. Like Minecraft, Don't Starve happily embraces the mad and the mystical, and is all the more enjoyable for it. If all this sounds wonderful, but you don't want to harvest twigs and dry grass on your own, Don't Starve Together also lets you play with a friend, and it's actually one of the best co-op games on PC. Rust is another game where pretty much everything in the world is out to get you. Rather than focusing on a job as you would in Kenshi, your main task in Rust is to not die. This is also another game that shines when playing with others. This could be teaming up with friends, or killing anyone that stands in your way. Thankfully, Rust is also infinitely playable. On Steam, you will see dozens of reviews with players well over 1,000 hours. Overall, Rust is one of the best games to play if you are looking for a multiplayer survival experience. No Man's Sky wasn't one of the best survival games of all time when it first launched. It would be years, and multiple updates, before the space exploration title felt like a fully fledged game. Now, if you waited before playing or have yet to dabble with No Man's Sky, now is a better time than ever. No Man's Sky is the ultimate survival game for those who like to explore the vast expanse of space, upgrade their ships, and befriend aliens. It's entirely up to you if you wish to follow the main story of No Man's Sky, which is a hell of a lot more developed now than it used to be. However, at some point, you're free to go off roaming space all by yourself. There's a myriad of beautiful planets to explore and creatures to tame or fight, and surprises in No Man's Sky are just one flight away. For galaxy jumping and an entire universe at your fingertips, get yourself kitted out in No Man's Sky. While it is a grind, it's a bloody scenic one. Plus, it's coming to Switch later this year. With the huge success of games like DayZ, it was only a matter of time before a licensed IP decided to give the survival genre a try. Conan Exiles shunts you into the Hyborian Age as everyone's favorite barbarian looks to duff people up and avoid death. The setup is largely familiar: grow crops, build settlements, club enemies to death. But Conan has a back-of-the-box bullet point that none of the competition can claim: human sacrifice. Should you be able to wrestle someone to an altar and butcher them, you can invoke the favor of the gods and shift the balance of power your way. That unique concept sets Conan Exiles apart from the pack. Escape from Tarkov is a savage evolution of survival games with just a pinch of battle royale thrown in for flavor. Instead of playing in a persistent world, you spawn on a map with a few other players and several dozen enemy NPCs. To survive, you have to reach an exfiltration zone on the other end of the map, but you also get to keep anything you loot to sell on a player-driven marketplace or use in subsequent rounds. It's a lot like poker, only way scarier. What really sells Tarkov, though, is its hyper-realistic gunplay and ridiculously deep gun customization. Kenshi is lots of different things to lots of different people, but this strategic building survival RPG is all about finding your niche and making it work. Where many survival games run out of purpose as soon as you stabilize your food supply, Kenshi opens more possibilities. Whether it's establishing a sustainable farm where you can recruit people to defend it, or becoming a skilled enough thief to supply your needs, Kenshi is a sumptuous bounty that feeds all kinds of playstyles. Its world doesn't fit itself around your needs and wants, but it's not particularly set against you either. After all, the most common bandits are often just bands of starving people fighting for scraps of food. It all gives our humble camp a sense of ambition beyond pure self-interest. This land could provide for people, we think. If we can protect it, maybe we could start to change things. And before we know it, we have a team of recruits running a factory in our absence while we lead our tiny founding trio out into the world, camping out under twin moons, fending off unfamiliar animals, and accidentally offending a powerful faction of religious bigots. Well, we guess we have enemies now. Gang, best head back home and figure out how to survive this, too. Let's get the obvious out of the way. Minecraft. If you have any interest in survival games, then you've probably heard about this survival crafting game. Minecraft is a powerhouse that has captured the hearts of gamers pretty much everywhere. Minecraft places you in a vast world with tons of resources. You can build an epic base, or opt for PvP content. Regardless of your choice, you will need to survive in the blocky world without falling victim to monsters or other players. It's hard to feel proud of a decision in Frostpunk. With the world frozen over and the last dregs of humanity huddled around a titanic furnace, you've got one overarching goal: keep them alive. To achieve this, your people need warmth and food, but that's easier said than done. It's not enough to plunk down the right buildings and start sending your citizens out into the wilderness to hunt for resources. You need to nurture a society that can weather an ice age, and if that means enacting an emergency shift law to force workers to stay at their post for 24 hours to net you the coal you need to last another day, so be it. Your workers won't be too pleased, but you'll have to weather that potential disaster further down the road. Trying to find a balance, keeping people content and alive, takes a lot of fine-tuning, but that's the heart of Frostpunk. Even when a revolt is brewing and the frost is encroaching, there's always a chance that moving some workers around or enacting a new law might save you. Even if things look like they're going your way, you're really teetering on a knife's edge, and it might only take the sudden appearance of some refugees to shatter the delicate ecosystem of your city. Landing on the unforgiving planet, Icarus, you and up to 7 online pals must complete missions before returning to the comfort of the orbital space station to upgrade your gear. In this session-based survival game, battling against hostile weather conditions, vicious animals, and unruly terrain, you must successfully collect the specified resources and retreat to the dropship before the time runs out. Since leaving early access, Icarus has had its fair share of bugs, but its refreshing take on sandbox survival and a robust progression system make this a varied and surprising survival game. Read our full Icarus review to find out more. It didn't take long for early access co-op Viking survival game to draw a crowd, and it's easy to see why. A massive procedurally generated world, fearsome boss fights, and excellent base building systems mesh wonderfully with survival elements like cooking and crafting. Solo play is great, but it really shines in co-op, and players can busy themselves with base construction or set out on perilous journeys across the sea to find dangerous new continents. If I'm being honest, Terraria isn't in much need of an introduction. The 2D survival game was released in 2011 and has been privy to a lot of memes since. Terraria is a simple survival game that can be picked up for a couple of quid, or dollars, or euros, take your pick, so there's no reason to not give the side-scrolling sandbox title a try. Think Minecraft, but as a 2D side-scrolling title with even more quality of life elements. That's Terraria. Admittedly, Minecraft has caught up in the quality department, but Terraria did it first and deserves to be recognized for doing so. Terraria also doesn't dry up as you plunge more hours into it. If anything, things get all the more wild, and it's a title that can be incredibly hard to put down. Your time surviving in Terraria is accompanied by a soundtrack that'll be stuck in your head for an eternity, and the title also hosts a lot of RPG elements that you often miss out in some survival games. You can befriend NPCs, defeat bosses, and play multiplayer with pals if you don't fancy exploring dungeons and villages solo. So, did you like the games I recommended? So leave your like, subscribe to the channel to follow me, and activate the bell because I post a lot of videos on this channel and you can't miss it. I would like to remind you that in the description we have a list of different products that can make your gaming experience much better. If you want to buy, the link will be in the description. Anyway, thank you very much for following me this far, and until next time, bye.